Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Mix Tank Live on Puremix.com. My name is Mark Abrams, and we're broadcasting to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all the places. If you're watching on one of the other platforms, I'm taking submission requests over on YouTube. That's going to be the chat that you see over here. I did it right. I got it with the camera switch. That's over here. Just got to remember that. Awesome. So yeah, if you submitted a mix and you want me to check it out, let me know in the chat. We try to get to everybody that's live here in the chat before we go searching for other things to listen to on Mix Tank. And if it's your first time and you're like, what is a Mix Tank and why did I click on this video? Mix Tank is we like to think of it as our think tank for mixes on Puremix.com, where pro members submit their mixes and get helpful feedback, not just from me here on the live streams, but from the entire Puremix community, which there's a lot of power in there, as you're about to hear with all the amazing songs that are uploaded, and we keep being amazed by all the new stuff that comes out every week that we listen to on here, and the progression and everything. So very excited to be here. Before we start, I always do a little bit of housekeeping for the Puremix members. We have new content headed your way to keep you busy over the break for sure. There are the mixing episodes from the start to finish featuring Andrew Sheps and Geese that are going to be released. So you'll get to see the mix with Andrew and the band at Flux Studios, mixing in Fab's room. And on the 29th of December, we are releasing Alan Meyerson's first video on Puremix. I couldn't be more excited about this. We shot it just a few weeks ago, and we fast-tracked it to get it out the door before the end of the year as quickly as we possibly could. Alan is mixing a piece from the Star Wars Jedi Survivor video game soundtrack, and it's absolutely amazing. Jedi Survivor, the video game, had the largest budget for an interactive score in history. For any piece of interactive media, it had the largest budget. They tracked this over at Abbey Road. It's a giant orchestra, Alan at the helm during the engineering process, and then he locked himself in his studio for 3 months after that to mix the entire thing. So we went out to Alan's place a couple weeks ago, and we filmed him breaking down the mix of one of the songs from the soundtrack. It's completely unbelievable, and there's a ton to learn. Even if you'll never work in orchestral music, just watching Alan, you're bound to pick up something. Plus, it's Star Wars. Come on. So definitely check that out, November 29th. Again, couldn't be more excited about that one. You guys are going to freak when you see it. It's really good. All right. Without further ado, this is the final Mix Tank of the year. So we have to make it awesome, right? It's been an amazing year. We started doing this live at the beginning of the year on a regular basis. And again, it's just been amazing, the progression, like seeing everybody's progression throughout the year, and couldn't be more excited. So happy holidays to everybody who's celebrating, and hope you guys get a restful break after this and get a lot of mixing in and a lot of fun time with family and everything. So, all right, let's break into it. Here we are. I have our first track pulled up. This is from Mike Ornsby, the famous Mike Ornsby, Mix Tank here, otherwise known as Studio Jaman on Mix Tank. And I love listening to Mike's stuff. He let us know right away that he had one in the YouTube chat. So we're going to check that out first. Mike always gives really awesome descriptions of his songs. So I'm going to zoom on this for everybody to read. No, I don't think I can do that. Never mind. All right, we won't do that. But Mike has awesome descriptions, and you can read it online if you're a Puremix member. Okay, let's dive in here. Here we go. I'm hearing something as I'm listening down here. After the drum hit, there's like strings that are doing a pulse right after that, and that feels awesome, and it's really adding to the groove of it. I kind of want to hear that come out a little bit more. Just wanted to point that out while it was happening. Mike, awesome as always. This is another one that's going to be incredible when you do immersive. If you have you started working on that yet? Let me know in the chat. Super cool. The only thing I would really point out, because I have this vision from the audio that's coming to me of this being all around one microphone, and things being changed in proximity. The random vocalists that come in and do their vocalizations feel like they got closer to the mic, and I can kind of feel that depth from front to back, which is really cool, or like from the distance of the microphone, which is really cool. So things like should there be more bottom or whatever, I don't know that that's necessary. The only thing that was jumping out to me is that upper mid-range peak that's happening as everybody kind of bundles up around the same notes, and you can hear the resonance and sort of a whistle sound. I'll play it around here, and it's happening around like 2 to 3K for me. So like think of like high-end screechy feedback coming through a PA. That's what I kind of hear from this. And it's just on the loudest notes of the chant. So as I swell up to the biggest note, you'll hear a little. So I think just addressing some of that stuff and maybe calming it down, as tomfoolery puts in here, warming it up a little bit, I think would help. So great job as always. That's a really fun piece to listen to. It's always worth reading Mike's descriptions of these songs. They're always incredible. Like, I mean, the background he gives is just nuts. So this is going to be a fun read. Everybody should check it out. But that being said, everybody, today is Tom Foolery's birthday. So if you've been in Mixtank for a while, Tom is our plant, if you will. Tom works for Puremix. He assists Fab DuPont, and he goes through and tries to comment on every Mixtank thing that there is, and it's always incredible advice. And a lot of the time, I just end up repeating what Tom says because he's brilliant. But it is Tom's birthday, so if Tom has commented on your track recently, go through and wish him a happy birthday. I'd say we should all sing, but I'm the only one with the microphone. So that, it wouldn't be as cool as it would be in my head. Even though we could all imagine us at our own computers spread out around the world singing happy birthday, Tom, it would just be me. So go leave a comment and say happy birthday, Tom. Okay, let's go on to our next song here. Thanks again, Mike. That was awesome. Our next one is going to be from Keith, who's going to get us in the Christmas spirit with Merry Christmas, Baby. And here we go.
Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice. Yeah. I said, Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice. That's what I'm talking about. You bought me a diamond ring for Christmas, and I think I'm in paradise. Oh, yes, I am, yeah. I'm feeling mighty fine, yo. I got my music on the radio. Yeah. Feeling mighty fine, yo. I got my music on the radio. Feel like I'm gonna kiss you, darling, underneath that mistletoe, yeah.
I'm going to do this one in sections. A couple things I'm hearing. The one, wow, what a voice. Two, and this is awesome. There's that stuff. That's out of the way. I'm hearing the vocal as like pushed and held to the back of the mix. So I'm feeling over compression, and I'm also feeling a little bit of a bundling up of the low mids in there as an artifact of a little too much over compression done as an insert point. One way to bring him forward, and this could all be style, but what I'm hearing is that the reason I feel like it's recessed is because there's something else in front of it. Contrast, right? So you can't have something far away unless you have a point of reference for what's close. Otherwise, it's just flat. So I'm hearing other pieces of the band that have a more flexible mid-range, and they're able to breathe a little bit more because they're not being held down. I'm hearing those as closer to me, while the vocals a little bit further back. So one thing you could try is doing parallel compression and letting some more of that uncompressed signal go through. You could also just try backing off the compression a little bit, but if you want the excitement of compression, but still the forwardness of being less compressed, you could try parallel compression for that. Might not be right for this style, might be too aggressive, but one of my favorite things to do is use Soundtoys Devil Lock just in the stock settings that pop up when you open the plugin. I'll put that on an auxiliary fader, and I'll bring it up until the vocal moves forward in the mix for me. So that was the first thing. Let's keep going. I thought I had something else, but I'm going to play it back just here a little bit in this section so you can hear what I'm talking about, and then we'll keep going.
Feeling mighty fine, y'all. I got my music on the radio.
I was going to add that the snare feels the same way. It feels like it's also being held down and pushed back. So there's a lot of glue, if you will. Here we go.
Feel like I'm gonna kiss you, darling, underneath that mistletoe, yeah. Santa came down the chimney 3:30, y'all. Left for them good old presents for my baby and for me, oh yeah. Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice.
So the kick drum, just to comment on that really quick, down low, in that like sub 70 hertz ish range, it feels like it's a little bit bloated down there and not very tight. You could try doing a high pass filter and just bringing it up until you're altering the bottom end of the kick drum a little too much. But ones I like for that, the Dangerous Back CQ is brilliant for it. Just bringing up a high pass filter, 6 dB slope, doesn't have to be the backs, and bringing it up until you feel like you're losing too much, but things should get tighter, and you should notice that the kick drum gets more punchy when you do it. There right now, if I've done this example before, sorry for the visual, but if this is the front of the speaker, like tweeters right here and the woofers right here, it feels like the bass drum's poking out like this. It's getting in front of the speaker and in front of the rest of the mix a little bit because it's just a little bit bloated down there. So let's keep going. Here we go. So the ring, the sustain on the floor tom right here as we go into the vocal only section, that tom is kind of sustaining over top of the vocal. It feels like it's a little louder, a little in front, and like it's just kind of ringing for a while. That's not musical necessarily. It might be interesting if it decayed off in a musical note value.
Santa came down the chimney, 4:30, y'all. Left for them a good old present just laying on the floor. Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice.
As we go through this section, if you listen to the balance between the hi-hat and the snare drum's kind of missing all of its crack and pop because the tack time on the compressor is very fast, so it's just kind of holding it down. But you hear the hi-hat is very clear, crisp, and close to us. So if you can imagine what that might look like as a drum set, you might have a hi-hat out here close to you, and then the snare drum's like way back here as he's playing. That's sort of the visual I get. Everything doesn't have to always feel like a natural drum set, but that's what's giving me the impression that the snare is being choked because I have something that has more transient information and is clearer and closer to me.
You bought me a diamond ring for Christmas, and I think I'm in paradise. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice. Yeah. Merry Christmas, baby. You should have treated me nice. You bought me a diamond ring for Christmas, and I think I'm in paradise.
Speaking of filters, low-pass filters are also very helpful. The tambourine feels a little bit bright to me. Maybe it doesn't need quite as much information as up top, so you're just getting the rhythmic pulse of it, but it's not overcasting or masking the high end of everything else that's going on. With the tambourine being that bright, it can make other things feel dull because now we have a new reference for what the brightest point of the mix is. And I will say too, some of these are obviously taste things. Like the way that the snare is could completely be a stylistic choice, and you decide that that's exactly what you were going for, and it's supposed to live back there and be flat, and that's cool. Here we go.
Merry Christmas, baby, to you, my little darling. To you, oh yeah. Yeah, I got to tell you one more time, yeah. Merry, 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 Merry Christmas. Oh, I got to tell you. Merry Christmas, baby. Oh, yeah, na, 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 yeah.
That is exceptional. Great job, Keith. I think that mix is awesome. Those are the only things that like really kind of jumped out to me. Chat room, if you guys heard anything, be sure to let them know. This is a community effort. So make sure you keep an eye on the chat for other comments and useful tips as well. But I love this. The singer is incredible. And you say in your description, please enjoy this cover of Otis Redding's classic sung by Cajun music legend Don Rich and produced by myself. This is the second edition of this mix. Absolutely killed it. I'm not familiar with Don Rich, but I want to go look him up because what a voice. It sounds great and really, really well produced. Awesome. Thank you for submitting, Keith. That's great. Let's move on to one of my favorite artists that comes on here, the Bone Daddies from Jeff Kiser. So let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. And he says, Ambition was tracked at Hollywood Under the Sign Studios, or in Hollywood at Under the Sign Studios by the Bone Daddies and mixed by Casper Abos. This was one of 14 songs we tracked in 3 days and will likely show up on their album in a few months. Great. Okay, we've gotten to hear some of this record, and it's always fun popping the tracks up. Here we go.
I've got debts and collections. I got lost with directions. I got tickets. I got liens. I got places I've never seen. I've got ambition. That's right. Ambition within sight. I got.
Cool. So I might comment on mixes as we're going, just because we have a real long list to get to today, which is awesome. But it might help to move things along if I just kind of pause where I have comments and speak. Or if you guys hate that, tell me that, and then we'll do it at the end and let you listen to the song. So far, I'm hearing a couple things. That is percussion, horns, especially the shaker. The shaker is very close to me and bright. The horns have nice, present, clear mid-range. The vocal feels a little bit more dark and muffled to me, which is kind of pushing it back in the mix and making it a little less exciting. And then the bass drum, kind of same thing. It's just got a lot of blooming low end that needs to be contained and controlled a little bit, and that'll help get it sitting in the track a little. So here we go.
Exits, and I've got O's. I got enemies and I got foes. I got a car, ain't got no wheels. I got discounts, yeah, I got deals.
I love the slap on the vocal throughout the verse there. That's super cool. When I would try, if I was mixing this, I would try to open up the top of that vocal. What you use doesn't matter. My go-to would be like a Pultec thing, up 10K and then playing around with moving it higher, just trying to crack it open on top a little bit to add some clarity. But my benchmark for what would be bright is if the shaker is done and you love the sound of the shaker and the top end of it, my benchmark for brightness would be, I would be turning up the Pultec, listening to the vocal while I'm listening to the shaker in the context of the mix, so not in solo, but I would be one ear kind of on the shaker, one ear on the vocal, and turning that up until I feel like the brightness is getting in the same ballpark of those things. So always using elements in the mix as context for how to EQ or brighten or raise or lower volume, all of that stuff.
I've got ambition, that's right. Ambition within sight. You may say I should tighten my belt, hunker down, stay on down until things are swell. I'll keep holding on till the end of the line. I'll keep on waiting until I know it's my time. I've got ambition. Oh, come on. Let's see you top of that. Beat it up. You may say I should tighten my belt.
Okay, a couple observations there. The guitar feels like it's a little bit too recessed during the solo. I'm kind of wondering about the stuff that's on the sides of the mix now, if it's just too loud or not, because I feel like I've got a picture frame happening from the percussion, and I'm looking like into a theater, right? Like, so you have the frame of the theater, or diorama is not the right word, but yeah, frame of the theater, and then I'm looking into the stage and I'm seeing everything that's going on that's not percussion or horns. The drums felt a little bit mono on their solo, which can totally be a cool stylistic choice. But I feel like I've got this close-up thing happening with the percussion, and then I'm looking into a frame of everybody else that's happening with some depth there. Here we go.
Get on down, hunker down, till things are swell. I keep holding on till the end of the line. I keep on waiting till I know it's my time. I've got ambition. I got wives and I got lovers. I got gigs, got no covers. I got tabs, I got accounts. I got to go, I gotta bounce. I've got ambition, I do. Ambition, you know that's true.
Man, those guys can play. This sounds like it was tracked extremely, extremely well, and you guys are on the way with the mix. This is really, really cool. Somebody pointed out, so Frank in the chat says, that sounds like a lot of sub bass in the kick drum, and man, live engineers at small shows do this all the time. Makes you hate subwoofers. The reason for that is so much blooming low end. It changes in this song. I actually think like the decay of the kick drum's fine. So this is just me rambling and ranting right now. But when you go to a live show and they're just like loving their subs, right, and they've got them cranked up, you end up getting all of this low end extension, and it changes the note value of what the drummer's playing. So if this pattern was a little bit more busy and that kick drum was just kind of blooming over itself, you never really get a decay before the next note, and it's not really a musical value. It just kind of goes on. It doesn't like go for a quarter or a half or whatever. It can just kind of mess up the groove and get a little bit floody. Again, Jeff, I'm not talking about that for this song because I actually think the length of the kick drum is really cool. It's just a little big right now. But yeah, I basically just wanted to agree with Frank there. So cool. Steve Leone asks, was that a triangle and a jaw harp? If you made a jaw harp in there, that's amazing. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. Kenneth Wright says wom wom sound. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. This next one is going to be Sweet Berry from Kev Jam. Thank you for submitting that, Jeff. Always fun to hear stuff from that session that you did. It's really good. Okay, here we go. This song is from Kev Jam Max, and he says, hi there. Thanks to everyone for their feedback on the previous versions. After taking version 5 too far, I jumped back in my time machine to version 4 and made a few small changes. Let me know what you think. Thanks again, Kev. That's not to go on another rant, but that is the wonderful thing about doing revisions on these things, right? Like we can do a save as, and it doesn't mean that we're just abandoning everything. You can just do a save as and try a bunch of stuff, and if you don't like it, you still have the other one. So definitely cool. Here we go.
She was down in front of me. I hope by the end of the evening that's where she would be. If I was to place my bets, if I was a big man, I would bet she's lots of fun, and I would get the fastest lap. Sweet berry on the scene, hey just in time. Sweet berry come, so I don't forget to smile. To ask her number, and she didn't ask mine. Maybe I wasn't her type, and maybe she wasn't mine. But magically 1 week later, playing volleyball at the shore, She sat there watching me, and I would score more. Sweet berry on the scene, hey, just in time. Sweet berry, come, so I don't forget to smile. Sweet berry on the scene, hey, just in time. Hey.
Okay, a couple quick thoughts. There's a ton of compression on the mix, and you can very noticeably hear that from all the noise that's present in here. If your recording setup just kind of has a lot of that built into it, from your signal chain, whatever it might be, your microphone, something in your signal chain is causing a lot of hiss. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and it kind of gives this song a little bit of a cool, older school feel. But the other thing is that the low end, like the sustaining resonance of the drums, and kind of everything else in the mix, even in the vocal, everything feels like it's all very close together. So the noise floor feels very close to where everybody else is operating, and it doesn't feel like there's a lot of dynamic range there, which means that it sort of steals a little bit of depth from the mix because everything is just kind of here, present all the time. And I don't think that this style needs to be quite as loud. So if you release whatever you're doing on the master, be it compression or limiting or whatever, and just let it breathe a little bit more, I think it's going to help you figure out balances and things like that. Next comment was, I can hear a lot of the vocal edits that are happening where you're cutting words off and where the next section's coming in and all of that. Again, because that noise floor is just up so high, you can kind of hear when the level of the vocal changes because it goes away or comes back in and all of that. Here we go.
I was lost in the Mohicans, I was lost in the thunder. She was paradise in the distance as I ran for cover. She would make me follow her like I was a believer, like I was a fast flowing river, and she brought it down like a beaver. Sweet berry on the scene, hey, just in time. Sweet berry, come, so I don't forget to smile. Sweet berry on the scene, hey, just in time. Sweet berry, come, so I don't forget to smile. Sweet berry.
So a couple comments on the bass. I'm mostly just hearing very low end, which you have this classified under reggae, I think. And reggae bass is usually like that, right? Like it's a very low dub bass kind of thing. There's not a lot of high end and all that or mid range. In fact, it's kind of scooped a lot of times. I would consider getting some mid-range in there so we can get some intelligibility on what the notes are, and it's not all just kind of sub stuff. Again, about what I was saying about subs in venues and when they're too high, they change note values and all that. It's kind of the same thing with the bass guitar here, because as they mute the string and given the level of compression, you have to be cognizant of this with this mix. If they mute the string, there's a little bit of a hang before the thing dies, right? Like the decay is different depending on how hard they mute it. If they just kind of rest the back of their hand on it gently, it's going to, still have some kind of decay to it as it's being muted. And if you have a lot of bottom end boosted on there, all of that stuff is just kind of keep going or whatever. So you lose a little bit of the groove when he's trying to be tight and muting things if it's over compressed, and some of that stuff is just kind of coming up. You'll also just kind of clean up the bottom end of the mix overall if you just high pass that a little bit. Doesn't have to be super high. Start at like 40 and move it up until it doesn't sounds like it's changing it too much, and then you could back it down or whatever. Let me finish and then I have another thought.
Sweet berry, sweet berry, sweet berry, come, sweet berry, sweet berry, sweet berry, sweet berry.
Okay, awesome. Kev, I love the song. I think it's got a super cool feel to it. And somebody in the chat pointed out Neutral Milk Hotel, which is pretty cool. I love this style of stuff, and I think there's a lot of good going on here. I wanted to encourage you to try and exercise. So I wrote about this in the weekly newsletter 2 weeks ago, I think, or a week ago. Either way, there is an engineer that I love named Ken Lewis, who has a YouTube channel. Shout out to him, Mixing Night Audio on YouTube. They usually do it once a month, I think, or bi-weekly. And he comes on and mixes for 2 hours and answers questions in a chat, you know, very similar to what we're doing here, but he does like live mixing and all that stuff. But one of the things that he does as a part of that show, and that he does in general, and he teaches, is he has a thing that he calls sprint mixing. And sprint mixing is basically limiting yourself to 10 minutes. And the whole purpose is to kind of focus on balance and pan. And I think he has other levels where you start introducing EQ and dynamics and stuff. But I would encourage you to just try this with volume and pan. You said you kind of took version 5 too far and came back. I would encourage you to do another save as, wipe it out, take all the processing off, especially anything that's like bringing up all the volume and compression. And then just setting a timer for 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes to do this. And just balance, right? So in terms of like what to start with, I listen for what the core of the song is. So in this song, I would start probably with vocal, and then I'd work on the groove of the song, but it's totally up to you. That doesn't really matter. The exercise is basically to teach yourself how important balance is by just only giving yourself those tools. So yeah, I would say strip this down, make a new balance of it without any kind of limiting or anything that's bringing up all your volume and everything and kind of squashing dynamics. And then see what happens. Because sometimes it's completely mind blowing, like how good you can get it in 10 minutes when you're not thinking about all of the other bags or tricks in the bag that we have as engineers. You know, we get really caught up in the whole thing of like, oh, we could do parallel compression and I could make the top end on this amazing and blah. I've got a Moog EQ that has an air band. Let's boost it because we paid for it. You know, all of that stuff. Like when you just kind of wipe all that out and focus on the balance of the music and think musically, I think you get pretty cool results. And at least at the least, you get a very cool starting point as a balance. So thank you, Kev. I hope that was useful and that you have some luck with this and all that. Cool. On to the next one. Let's see here. Urs, I got you on the list. So you are there. So I'll tell you guys who's on the list right now. So we have Steve Leone, Mike Conway, Urs, Tony Solazo, Obi Vaughn, Hoshi, and dpen. Hoshi might have been auto-corrected by my notepad, but Space Racer is the name of the song. So if you didn't hear your name, yell at me in the chat and put it in there, and we'll get to it. I'll put it on the list. All right. Here we go. This is Nighttime Run by Steve Cooper, and it says, Revision 4, got a lot of feedback and detailed notes from the birthday boy Tom. I tried to reduce the vocal harshness, tame their levels, and fix my compression so the drums are more audible. My attack times had never been slower. If there's time to go over this, that'd be great, but I know I've submitted many times. Oh, no, we're going to do it, Steve. Let's do this. Here we go. With HD turned on. The option is there to turn it off if you don't like listening to your stuff with high resolution. If you want that more vintage feel, you can turn off the HD button. I like to leave it on. Okay, here we go.
There's a teasing glow up in the air.
Want to point something out. So I have a couple of thoughts so far, and then I'll point out the thing. One, the percussion sounds great. That sounded really cool. The vocal, I'm feeling a lot of compression on it, and proof of concept here where there's a mouth click going into this next session that really pops out of the speakers. And again, something that can be really accentuated by overcompression. The compressors let go, and then they don't catch the sound that happens. So listen for that. Here we go. There's some bass stuff too, but we'll talk about it in a minute.
We just wanna get looking to me, as I pray. We just wanna get away. Feel the urge to take this nighttime run, and with it purge this feeling that my place is bottom rung. Simple motions helping ease the mind. Out in open, airing out the toxic thoughts we find.
Okay, so Steve, this section's going to tell you a lot. So as you, if you open this up and you play this section, listen to the overall, like zoom way far out, you're zooming away and listening to the shape of this mix. So how much top end is there? How much bottom end is there? Is the mix clear? And if you mute the vocal on this, my hunch is that you're going to feel like the mix suddenly has a blanket on it. Because a lot of the top end, if not all the top end that's happening up in the super high end, is coming from the vocal. And I think some of the things that might choose or make you choose to go that way are, a lot of the mud that's kind of happening in the instrumental. So there's some like low end that's blooming around, and there's a lot of low mid. There's not a lot of definition in the bass guitar, which is what I was going to say a minute ago. The bass guitar has a big mask happening on it in the low mids. Pick a number, 160 to 3 something or whatever. There's a lot of information down there, but there's not a whole lot happening in the upper mids, like 800 to 1.5 or whatever. There's not a lot making the bass speak up there. So you end up with this big mask and a whole lot of low-end stuff that maybe you got the instrumental where you wanted it, and when you brought the vocal up, you felt like you couldn't get it on top of the mix, so you started boosting EQ, boosting top end on the vocal, and looking for clarity. But it's mostly coming from the blooming stuff, the masks, if you will, that are happening in the instrumental, which is all a hunch, and I could be completely wrong, but that's my hunch. So I'll play this again. Everybody just kind of imagine what would happen if you muted the vocal.
The urge to take this nighttime run, and with it purge this feeling that my place is bottom rung. Simple motions helping ease the mind. Out in open, airing out the toxic thoughts we find. The tide keeps rising up to wherever we go. It's the reason we remain on the go. I used to think that being gifted and black would be enough to keep me intact. Drown out all the noise in a cluttered mind, and reclaiming joys from the daily grind. Waited out the setting sun, evaded all the heat, free to take our nighttime run, an open air retreat.
So same thing that's going on with the keys there. There's a lot of upper mid-range that's kind of boosted up, and I feel like you're just trying to get on top of the sort of swishy, muddy stuff that's happening in there. So that might be worth looking at too. General approach, like if I were to go in and, if I just had this multi-track printed this way with the effects, and this is what came into me, I would first go in and clean up the rhythm section, any of that stuff that's kind of lingering. Sounds like there's really long tails, like reverb tails and stuff too, that are just kind of adding a blanket of sound, but they're not, again, like helping the groove out. If you think about a reverb having, sorry to say this term again, but a musical value to it. So if they hit the snare and the decay is gone by the next, half note or something like that, like if the decay is a half note long or if it's a bar long, now it's pulsing in a musical way. versus if the reverb has a 4-second decay time and it's just kind of swimming along, and then the next hit comes and it's still swimming along, and it's just creating this pad of verb. It might be worth checking out some of the decay times on the time-based stuff and pulling some of that back. Here we go.
Frightened of imagined phantoms in the night, or being blinded to the walls inside, always citing worlds impending doom, an easy cover for your harbor glue. Frightened of imagined phantoms in the night, or being blinded to the walls inside, it's never-ending access of police, applied to the process of release. But I'm under the gleam of blue and red, a signal of routine I learned to dread.
Steve, I love this. I don't know if I'm like getting Rush or Frank Zappa or all of it in between. I love this song. This is super cool. Let me know if you were writing this. This is awesome. So I just saw that you put in the comments, I separated the bass into 2 tracks and put a low pass and high pass filter on each around 500 hertz, and then applied some effects to the high end, and the volumes are automated differently. Maybe I need to not separate them so much. So I think you're working too hard with that, which I think you probably knew I was about to say. I think you're working too hard, and you could just achieve this working off of the one channel of bass. Just look for a great sound. And one of my mentors, John Paterno, he was going over EQ stuff with me at one point, and we were, he was trying to show me how to kind of get away from some of the Fab Filter stuff and use some of the more like, I don't know what you call them, vibe EQs, some of the analog stuff. Specifically, we were working with an API 550, and I was like, I like this EQ. I just, it's not a flexible one. Now it's like my favorite EQ, but basically he was like, well, kind of speaking back when he was at, in his Sound Factory days, he's like, this is the EQ that we had. Like there was no Fab Filter back then. So he's like, this is what we had to work with. So the technique to it would be like you do a boost specifically on a 550. Let me pull one up so you guys can see what I'm talking about if you're not familiar with it. So yeah, on a 550 style EQ, blow that up. There we go. So you've got two knobs on each one of those knobs. The blue ring is your frequency selector, and then the white is your gain and your cut. How much you're boosting it by, and you had 2 decibel increments to work with. So the technique he kind of taught me was like boost up a couple clicks, 2, 4, 6 dB, whatever, and then you kind of move around the frequency point until you find something that, his words, makes the instrument speak. And when you find it, it was like that was definitely one of those light bulb moments for me. Those frequency points, they're also this isn't a tutorial on APIs, but if you kind of look between the bands, they're chosen very intentionally. Anytime that you double the frequency, that's going up an octave. And if you look at the choices that are done here, just in the mid-range, you go from 200 to 400 octave. You go from 400 to 600, half an octave, but you can also go to 800, which is the octave. You go to 1.5, that's an octave. You go to 3, that's an octave. And then they don't go to 6 because whoever designed this, Paul Wolf, I think, decided that 6 wasn't musical, but 5 was. So it's pretty easy to find something that works on most things with an EQ like this. And same for your Neves and all that stuff too, but you just kind of move it around until you find something that speaks. So all of that to say, if you're having to split the channel into multiple bands, you might be working a little bit too hard. And it's, unless you want to do some sort of like processing thing, maybe, you're doing a micro shift on the top end or something. But even that you can accomplish without working too hard on it. So kind of again, going back to that sprint mix idea, just like think musically, be a musician as you're doing this. And sometimes you have to throw out the bag of tricks. You can have your whole bag of engineering tricks, like splitting up the bass into high and low frequency and, automation tricks and side chaining and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you have to take the bag and put it outside of the room and then go out to the bag. If you need to grab something, just walk over and get the thing that you need. But when the whole bag's there, you're just like, yeah, I'm going to throw all this at it. So here we go. Yeah, awesome track, Steve. That had to take a long time to write, and it's super creative. Very cool. There might have been a couple vocal things that I would consider hitting with Melodyne if you can, just to make sure that they stay in. I know you're doing some crazy runs and chromatic things and all that, but there were just a couple notes that caught my ear throughout, so just watch out for those. But yeah, I think it might be cool to do... Oh, you say this is a Rhodes Ran original. You're producing and engineering. Great job producing. Yeah, and engineering. You're crushing it. Sounds like all the sounds are great and everything. It might be interesting to do that sprint mix trick with this one and pull everything off of it, tear it down just to faders and pan. It doesn't mean that you're throwing away revision 4 of it at all. Just see what happens if you just focus on the balance first and not allow yourself to use any of the fancy stuff. Might be interesting. Might be terrible. Who knows? It's Christmas. You'll have time, hopefully. Okay, Clean Plate, I see you. I got you. Mr. Dog, you said, where can I upload my track? So this is Mixtank for Puremix Pro members. You can go over to puremix.com, click on Mixtank at the top, and then you can submit your track so long as you're a member. And then we'll get to it. Let me know if you do it, and we'll definitely check it out. Okay, next song. Let's see what we got here. So that was Stephen Cooper Leon. All right, Mike Conway, Blues Keep Coming. Welcome back, Mike. Okay, here we go. HD.
Look at the river of worry. Look at the river of pain. Keep on rolling. Keep on rolling. Jump in the water, soak you to the bone. Jump in the river, it'll carry you along. So far away from your home. Just like the river, that river always flowing. Blues are coming to your home. They keep on coming, keep on coming. Look at the snow falling down, falls on everyone without a sound. It keeps on falling, keeps on falling. Your door shuts down your city and cleans out the store. It keeps on falling, keeps on falling. Just like the river always flowing, the blues are coming to your home. They keep on coming, keep on coming.
So one thing I'm hearing as we go into the guitar solo here, one, the vocal is very, very forward, mostly in a mid-range, like upper mid-range way, where it's getting a little harsh and a little pokey. However, I do love sort of the balance of it, you know, thinking about like some older stuff where there wasn't a lot of balance, right? Like if you were going for a period piece kind of vibe, you know, that's something to be aware of, but it's also a creative decision. However, it's the blues, and that guitar solo is probably as much as a main character as the lead vocal. So I would bring it up and get it up to the same importance as the vocal.
sound me.
Now that verse and guitar solo feel much more balanced. The vocal felt louder to me before.
Falling. Piling up around your door, shuts down your city and cleans out the store. Sound to your home, they keep on coming.
Nice. Okay, so your description says this is a work in progress. Lead vocals are still scratch and still writing. Reference for this, Robert Cray, Fuzzy and Fat. So hard to comment on the mix since it's not really mixed or that you're not doing it. A couple things I would say to watch for. I thought the snare might have been overcompressed a little bit. It felt like it was just kind of being held back and pinned down. And then the right overhead, there's a lot of harsh stuff coming through in the cymbals. So like 4K, 3K, that kind of thing. Look around in there for something to tweak. But yeah, I think it's on a way to a really, really cool spot. That sounds great for an in progress thing. So awesome job. Cool. Let's see what else we got. Lots of good tips in the chat. And let's move on. Okay. Our next one is Untold. So let's grab that. Thank you for submitting, Mike. Very cool. HD, because why not? And here we go from the top.
December, everybody's leaving town, and it feels like as the world is almost slowing down. What if you haven't loved enough or didn't show? Never leave a thought untold. Make time every day. Run
on. Hold oners. This says, believe it or not, the acoustics are fake. I'm a decent keyboard player and can make samples sound pretty realistic. Hold on. Well, that's it. I quit. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. After hearing that he can do that on a keyboard, there is nothing else I have to add to this world. Thank you. We'll see you later. All right. I'm kidding. Awesome. That's amazing. I have never heard samples sound like that. Check this out.
Remember, everybody's leaving town, and it feels like as the world is almost slowing down. What if you haven't loved enough or didn't show? Never leave a thought untold. Make time.
I never in a million years would have guessed that was samples. That's amazing. Or you could be a billionaire doing that. That's amazing. Did you guys notice that? That's great. Kenneth says, don't come back. Nice. That's wild. I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away. Sorry for interrupting the song. Let's go back here because this is a beautiful song and I want to hear the end of it.
Run enough to play from not being aware what falls around us. It's time.
Do not tell me if that electric is also samples. Like, do not, just either way, don't tell me. Here we go.
To declare our love.
I don't want to overshadow the point that is an absolutely beautiful song, with the fact that you just outshined 99% of acoustic players with your keyboard skills. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful song. It says, this is a song I wrote last week, sang, played, produced, and mixed for this year's December season. I literally finished it today. Production facts. All done in Digital Performer 11, and the vocals are recorded with an Upton 251 clone singing, going straight into my Apollo Twin. Thanks for your time and for your eyes. It's just a beautiful song. The only things that I have to add to, I don't have much to add to what's already been said, honestly. Tom nailed it, probably because it's his birthday. He thought the acoustics were a little woolly in the 100 hertz range. And then Brad said, I don't care, it's your birthday, Tom. I think that the 100 hertz should come out of the bass. I think both could possibly be true. I would probably start with the bass first and then see where you're at with it. I was actually thinking that the vocal felt woolly, but it could be because of the buildup in the bass. Those things are probably just uniting and then building up together. So I try the bass thing first and see what happens. And it looks like you might have already, because I guess this was a week ago. So it might be a week late to the party, but cool. You could get a lot of session work as a keyboard player for acoustic people. You could be like going after singer-songwriters and they're like, no, I don't really need keyboards. And you're like, it doesn't matter. I'll play acoustic. But yeah, again, not to overshadow, that's a beautiful song. And I thought that it was done really, really well. I don't think that there's a lot to do on this either. I'll agree with Tom. And it's a beautiful song. You nailed it. And you got it done for the December season. That's incredible. What else can you say? It's beautiful. Okay. Urs says that the electrics are all real. Thank you for telling me that, because I would have been upset if it was sampled. Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful job. Okay. Let's go on. Our next person up is Tony Solazo. This is Time to Get Real. As in the name of the song, not it's time for us to get real. As in not samples. All right, here we go.
You tell me I'd die for you. Please spare me your platitudes. You say you like the shape of me. You can keep your cheap flattery. Sounds get real.
I'm going to point out one thing back here. I heard a couple things throughout the first verse. Mouth clicks. So just mouth noises. For me, it always breaks suspension of disbelief, which, like, if you've ever heard a filmmaker talk, their entire job is to make you feel like you're in the film and that's all that you're focused on. You're not thinking I'm watching a movie. You think like I am watching a thing that's real. Same thing with music. Sometimes I'll hear like the lip smacks and stuff like this and it'll pull me out of the song and I'm just thinking about the lip smacks. Also, I'm an audio engineer, so of course I'm listening for lip smacks, but I hear them a lot on this break right before we do the drop.
Shape of me. You can keep your cheap flattery. Sounds get real. Sounds get real. Sounds get real. Sounds get real. You alternate from preposterous to innocuous. You never sound like you're authentic, true or honest. The lines you say are all memorized and plagiarized. You hide behind the words you wear as part of your disguise. Sounds get real. Sounds get real. It's time. Sounds get real. The games you play with words out that are left unheard, they verge on the absurd. Reality's preferred. The games you play with words out that are left unheard, they verge on the absurd. Reality's preferred. Sounds get real. Sounds get real. It's time. Sounds get
Awesome. That's another great song and great production on there too. The biggest thing that jumps out to me is the bass instrument that's playing the chord changes and everything that's happening down there. That feels a little bit loud to me. It feels very big and a little, kind of, it's just taking up a whole lot of space and feels like it's as loud as the vocal almost to me. The percussion feels like it's louder than everything else and very bright. Which again, like in context might be informing you how hard or how much top end to add to that vocal, which one of your comments is you're wondering if the vocals are too crispy on it. It's again, one of those things where like balance it against the other high end instruments inside of the mix. But overall, I feel like everything's just kind of smushed down again. Like it's got too much limiting on it and just kind of everything is loud all the time instead of having some dynamics and motion and one thing, sitting in front of another and all of that. However, I don't think that you're very far away from it. I would watch out for too much spreading on the lead vocal. It sounded like it was very wide and not centered and focused to me. Like it had punch and power, but it just kind of felt like diffuse and spread out. But overall, I think this is great. I think like a general comment, and not the Tony, this isn't necessarily directed to you, but an important thing for us is to just remember that like we don't have to use all the bag of tricks all the time, and we don't have to push all the plugins hard and all of that stuff. This is it is about the song and the individual elements and the balance. It all, like, that is what matters. What makes the song tick matters. It's not about, like, can I get a vocal sound that nobody on earth has ever heard? And as Fab says, redefine the trajectory of modern music forever, you know, because you're going to make this one sound that's going to blow everybody away or whatever. It's just about making the song come across in a really coherent way that lets people connect to it. And specifically back to this one, Tony, if everything is loud, then nothing's loud. So I would consider, like, how can you get a little bit more dynamics and breathing room out of the whole thing? And it could be as simple as just bringing down the limiter. But yeah, overall, I think it's really good, and it's not far away from doing some stuff. I would just play with the balances a little bit, listen to the overall shape. If you're trying to figure out, is the vocal crispy? Listen to, is anything else crispy? And is the top end of the record, you know, is it clearly defined what is supposed to be the brightest and all of that? Yeah, kind of zooming out, and if you imagine, like, the whole thing having an EQ shape or something like that, or a tone, and assessing if that's the right tone for the song and all of that. But yeah, not far. Sorry, that sounds like a lot, but it's not far. Cool. Marcelo, it's not too late. Too much smush mush. No. Awesome job, though. Yeah, please do submit another version of it if you do one. I'd love to hear it. Okay. Marcelo, I'm going to write you down on the list here, and we'll move on to our next one. This is Marcelo. Let me know the name of your track, if you could. Marcelo. Awesome. Okay. Our next song is from Ovi Vaughn. Open the door. Here we go. It says, this mix is my practice mix to 1. Get comfortable with a headphone mixing solution using Sound ID reference and SonarWorks. 2, working on, 2, number 2 is to work on getting the mid-range right. I started with version which was 2 scooped out, smiley faced, and a reference track that I've been aiming for is Last Train Home from John Mayer. Okay, great. Here we go. So this guitar solo that's playing right now and started a little bit earlier, it feels very diffused to me, like it's got widening on it specifically, and not just the delay effects, but something's making it very wide and out of phase to me. We'll keep going. Let me know if you used anything like a widener on that guitar solo or something, like an S1 or something like that. Awesome. Okay, very cool. So, big thing that's sticking out to me right now is I feel like the center of the stereo image is very recessed. And there's some stereo stuff going on, which is leading me down the path to think you might have done some mid-side processing and boosted up the sides to get width. I could be totally wrong about that, but basically, for the unfamiliar, mid-side processing is if you have everything that comes up the center as a signal, and then you have what's on the left and the right of the image as a signal. You have two separate faders, and you could take the mid control for the output, and you could turn it down, and the center of the stereo image gets recessed, and the sides appear to be wider because there's no center in the thing, and everything kind of feels like it's going down a hole. Done slightly, that can add some width that can be tasteful to a mix. When it's pushed too far, it can feel like the center punch and power of the mix is just completely sucked away, kind of, and then you're just left with what's on the sides. And I'm feeling that on this one. Like the middle of it feels like it's 5 feet away from me, but the stuff that's happening in the left and right speakers feels like it's very close to me. So I would consider playing with that and turning off any kind of trick stuff, and just again taking it to the core of the record, right? Especially if John Mayer is your point of reference, like Last Train Home. You're already on the path. I think you're a little too scoop still, maybe, but it's going to be a taste thing. That is very much mid-range music to me. It doesn't feel super scooped, I don't think, at least not in my memory, but mid-range is everything. That's where all the music is going to be living, and the harmonic information and all of that stuff. Everything else is shine and bump, right? And so I would really, really focus in on that, and I would possibly take off any like crazy processing stuff that might be on the mix bus, any kind of like mid-side EQ, any wideners, limiting, and potentially even compression, and just work on the balance again. And then, you can put that stuff up and dress things up, but only if you've got the strong foundation of a great balance to work from. I hope that helps, Sophie Vaughn. I love your name. Cool. Let's go on to the next thing. dpen, I didn't forget about you. You're on my list. Do not worry. You are one more away, actually. You're coming up. Okay, so our next one is from Space Racer. And here we go. He says, hey everyone, so this is a revised take to unclutter the guitars. I removed some low end around 300, got rid of some masking stuff, brought more presence to the drums, removed some compression. So this is a revision. So let's check it out. Here we go. Just want to point out one thing. Listen to the S-ing on the lead vocal. I feel like it's a little too over de-essed, which is causing it to have a lisp. So take a listen. I'm going to say again, this is too limited to me, especially if it's just, you said that it's a master. So I'm going to go with it's still a mix, but you have some mastering stuff on it, because otherwise you wouldn't be looking for mix feedback. So I also gently snapped the snares parallel compression to the rhythm guitars around 1.5 dB. Okay, and I was adding a little bit of top end to the hats while making them a tad brighter while trying to lean more toward a warm mix. Okay, so paralleling the guitars to the snare drum, let me know what the purpose of that was. So a couple of things I just want to point out before it gets to the end of it. The cymbals are sticking out to me. They sound like sampled cymbals, which is fine, but they feel disconnected from the kit. It could be volume things. They have different treatments and, maybe like the room reverb that's on the snare or something like that. But they don't feel congealed. They just kind of feel like they're sitting in front of the mix and very loud. I think a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing is just an artifact of being overcompressed and over limited or that kind of stuff. I kind of want to throw out a word of caution too, because there's definitely a surge around like clippers and what's the best limiter, what's the best clipper. You can get 2 more dB of loudness out of this clipper versus that clipper and all of that stuff. And you just got to be very, very careful with that stuff, because while they are great tools, you can push them way too far, and then you end up just sucking the dynamics out of the mix. And if you think about emotion, coming down on a quiet part before hitting on the last chorus that might be gigantic, the chorus doesn't feel gigantic if when it comes down to the bridge or something like that, it's just so close in volume that it doesn't build dynamically. You lose all that. And a lot of the time when I talk to students or something, you find out that it's just because they were like, well, I really wanted, this engineer gets a loudness level of this, and I really wanted to hit that. I want it to be loud, It's like, okay, but if it loses musicality, you're losing emotion and ultimately connection to the song for people. So don't trade out what music is for engineering tricks. Not many people are breaking the space-time continuum with amazing mixing skills, and this is all about music. So I'm just going to hit play and be quiet. Ooh, I love that ending. That's sweet. This bend on the guitars. That's awesome. Oh, where'd my mouse go? Give me your mouse. Here we go. Love that, and I love the tone on them too. You have a lot of amazing stuff going on in here, and especially like the musicianship is uncanny. It's great, very very cool, and I'm sure it took a long time to kind of get all that going, like the drum programming and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's programmed anyway, but I can't really tell anymore because Urs just made the most convincing acoustic guitar ever. So who knows? But I think like as far as the doing like the snare parallel compression of the guitars to bring them down to dB.5 so the snare pops through a little bit, I think all of that stuff is you're fighting against probably fighting against I wasn't there, but you're probably fighting against the limiter in those cases where the limiter or the clipper or whatever is just lopping off the top of the snare, so it can get lost in the mix. But if you back all that stuff off, suddenly the snare's got more dynamic range, and you don't have to do as much to get it to poke through, like ducking the rhythm guitars around the snare each time and stuff like that. Another way to solve a problem like that, again going back to balance, if you decided that the groove is one of the main parts of the track, put the groove together first, like have the bass and the drums going or something like that and the main rhythmic elements of the song, and then you start bringing everything up around it. So if you want the snare to be loud, have the snare up, and then you bring the guitars up until they feel like they're well balanced against the snare, but they're not eating them. If they are eating the snare, then they need to come down just a hair, or you need to treat the snare in a way to deal with it. But again, balance being like the key to all things happy. Cool. You have a hard time with the hats and overhead. So he just said that in the chat, Hoshi. So with the hats and the overhead stuff, listen to the depth. Like how far is the snare from you? How loud is the snare? And then how loud are the cymbals and stuff too? Are they way louder? And are you having to do that because you're trying to get around the guitars? One thing that can help a ton too is if you have a room reverb. It could be anything. It could be your stock DAW room reverb sound or whatever. But if you this works well with the sampled drum kit. If you put everybody in the same room, it can at least add a commonality to the samples, and it can be a little bit more convincing that they're all part of the same kit. Right now, it feels like the cymbals and the hats are maybe a lot louder than the rest of the kit, so they don't feel like they're all part of the same instrument. Think of the drum set, obviously as one instrument, not 5 or 6 instruments individually. So awesome. Doing great though. And I thought, composition is amazing. Dance Kit says the guitar sound is perfect. There's a lot going on. Okay, cool. Let's go on to our next one, which is the infamous dpen. Okay, here we go. The song is called Fire. And from the top. Awesome, Hoshi. Good luck.
What do you feel with the lights out? What do you see when you don't doubt? Something out there is pulling me in. I can see it, but there's no doubt. Inside
Awesome, man. Great job. This is cool. I know that you submitted some other ones from this project from back in 2012, and been revisiting it. So that's awesome. It's cool that you have like new vocals on this one and you're reviving it. Great job. Okay, so dpen wrote where to start with this. Production I did in 2012 for a specific vocal part they gave me. I produced it and mixed it in headphones when I was on the road. They took back the vocals for another project, so it stayed buried. Just recorded new vocals last month and wanted to polish it and release it, but the project was so old that my lovely Logic Pro could not open it. So I can't do much with the music except on the mastering stage. What do you think of it in general sound wise? I think it's too bright, not so tight with lots going on in stereo image. It's a mess. Thanks for listening. So I'm going to echo what Tom said about the hats, that those are pretty loud and that multi-band compression could definitely be your friend here. You could try and just smack them down a little bit with that, where you're just doing focused compression on that range of the frequency and see if it can get a little control. I also agree with booking for Evanstone at gmail.com. Everybody sign him up for your favorite newsletter. The 6 minutes might be a little bit long for this one because the loop just kind of keeps going. That's totally a composition choice, up to you. But you might want to consider adding some additional elements to it if you're going to go that long to kind of keep the cycles feeling new and all that too. I love the drum stutter effects. That reminds me of the Korg ER1 drum machines. They had a really cool like time delay thing where you could do all kinds of fun slicey stuff. If anybody else ever had that drum machine, let me know, because that was a fun one. It was when we were all going through our Kid A stage from Radiohead, at least me. Okay, the vocal, I would agree with Tom that the vocal felt a little bit thin and compressed and could just breathe a little bit more, and that it should also probably live in the center. It was a little distracting that it was to the right. And then Tom had the idea that you could add drum samples to the track throughout the mix, which might not be as hard as it would seem because it's loop based. You might be able to like figure out a 4-bar loop and then just copy paste to the relevant sections and all that. But if you wanted to get more punch down there, that could be an option. You probably won't have much luck, but there are a lot of websites now that use new AI technology to split up, like take the drums out of a stereo file and the bass out of a stereo file and all of that stuff. You might get interesting results if you try to do it, but it also might help you getting a little bit of control over the balance if you wanted to play with that. So I would recommend trying that. Hope that's helpful. Great song. That's going to be really, really cool. I hope you submit another version. Awesome movie, Vaughn. Glad it was useful. Okay, next song is from Clean Plate Sound. It's called Black Cat. Here we go. Got a couple more to do in about 15 minutes, so here we go.
It's a ride with a gypsy girl who sold broken hearts. She never met someone with a silver tongue and wrote one scarf. Close the door, shed a coat, watch her set the room on fire. It's a calm with the storms while the flames dance like shadows in a funeral pyre. You want it all, but you've already come and gone. You expect me to fall, while the king of Hollywood plans another escape. Lit a smoke, stole a dance in a downtown department store. Shared a smile, took a bow, then comes the pain that grows of turning back into a ghost. You want it all, but you've already come and gone. You expect me to fall,
This is an interesting thing. All of this noise that's on top of the track here and is apparently in the stems from the Nick Puffer song "King of Hollywood." You can hear the bus compression working really well because it's bringing down the noise as the kick drum hits. So check this out. I think you've got a lot of really good stuff. I'm going to stop there, but I think you have a lot of really good stuff going on in this mix. The guitars feel a little bit thin to me and a little bit like they have too much upper mid-range, but it's not a lot. We're talking about like very small dB tweaks here. And you're fighting against that noise the whole time. Like that's just going to wear down your ears. So kudos to you for getting through it. But the balance feels really good to me. And I feel like if that noise wasn't there, we'd have a really good mix that we'd be talking about right now. So there's a lot of positive going on. Very hard to comment on it with all the noise. I'm going to just point out what Birthday Boy said here. Always go for vibe and what feels good over technical perfection. And then specifically to the song, noise be damned, he says. It just kicked me off. But okay, that's fine. I hope that is somewhat useful, but I think that you did a great job on this. And to just kind of echo what Tom said, the going for vibe over technical perfection is a better, more concise way of saying what I've been saying today about the bag of tricks and leaving it behind. We get so caught up in the engineering stuff and it's music. We need to go for a vibe. We need to make the thing sing with what's there and identify the core pieces of the record, not try to reinvent audio engineering on every mix or whatever, or use all the plugins that are in the computer and all of that. So we're making music. We have to focus on the song. It seems like I'm saying something obvious to me right now, but it's something that I do hear from time to time on these and with stuff that other people send me too. We're trying to make great songs and great music and all of that. It doesn't have to break the barrier of what's possible. So yeah, great job on the mix underneath all of that noise. If you can solve the noise, that'll be helpful. Sometimes remember you have a low pass filter on your EQ too. You can shave off at least the very, very top end of that stuff. You probably won't lose a lot by doing it. Say it's on a bass guitar, for example, you could low pass filter and probably go down, pretty far before you start getting into the real definition of the bass. Okay, so our next song is going to be, and if you guys want to try that one, that is Nick Puffer, King of Hollywood. That was a live stream that Fab did, Pro Member Mix Fix, and I believe the stems are available now, so check it out. Our next song is called Sound of Doom. It's called Learn From My Mistakes from Sound of Doom. Here we go. Cool. Just a couple quick comments. The bottom end of the song is out of whack with the rest of it, just in that there's a lot of bottom end. This is likely a monitoring problem. You're not hearing what's going on down there, so you're wanting to push things. You're turning the kick drum up louder. It's lacking a little bit of definition as well. So there's a lot of low mids and stuff like that are causing what we call masks, that are keeping us from hearing other parts of the frequency spectrum and the signal and the tone of the instrument. So there's a lot blooming down there in the bottom, 100 hertz on up, possibly down as well. You can do a high pass filter to cut off the sub stuff. You can basically, if you start that around, say, 30, bring it up until you hate the bottom end, and you should get a tighter, punchier sound by cutting out the very bottom stuff. However, I'm worried that you're having problems hearing that because of what I'm hearing on this side. You're probably not going to be able to hear what's going on in the very bottom of it. So I'd recommend definitely getting some headphones that when you put them on, they sound to you like what Tool's 10,000 Days album that you reference in your notes sounds like. You want to be able to clearly hear the bottom, the mids, they're not harsh, all of that stuff. And preferably speakers, but the room plays into account and it might be causing you issues here. So that was number one. It sounds like the stuff is well tracked. The other thing I've noticed is on the tom reps or the fills, the tom on the left side seems a lot louder than the one on the right. And then they might be poking out of the mix just a hair on there. Here we go. The snare has a lot of like 400 to 500 stuff happening in it too, so that's going to mask some of the upper crack of it, and it's going to make it feel a little bit more woofy. Not woofy in the low mid range, just like there's a lot going on in 400-ish. So take an EQ, you could tuck a little bit of that back. You don't want to scoop out 12 dBs of it, but just bring it back and see if you feel like the snare is better when you bypass that EQ. Let's keep going from there. Nice. The band sounds really tight. Really well done. Nice work. I think that you're close on this one. I think if your monitoring situation was a little better, this is a hunch, but I think this is what's going on. If your monitoring situation was a little better, you would be hearing the things that are causing issues, and you'd clean this up in no time, because you can kind of hear like the things that are happening in the mid-range you have a good grasp on and you're making them work really well. It's just about the bottom end of the mix. So yeah, I think I'd like maybe spend a little bit of time to see if you can get your room right or find some headphones that'll help you out. Cool. Hope that it's useful. Thank you for submitting. And let's move on to our next one. which is from Marcelo. This is called Incel, and this will be our last one of 2023. Marcelo, you got the last Mix Tank song of 2023. Here we go.
Manchmal wünsche ich mir ein Segelboot, das mich auf meine eigene Insel holt. Der Sonnenschein stand so gelb wie Gold, Himmel färbt sich abends leuchtend himbeerrot. Und überall nur Spaß und Happiness. Schau den Band beim Tanzen zu aus meinem Himmelbett. Stimmung wie nach verliebten Morningsex. Halte danach Ausschau, Leben harmoniert wie ein Singquartett. Diese Tage sind graue und trübe, warte und fühle Sehnsucht nach Zeiten in Blüte, Straßen getaucht in buntgrüne Farben. Bienen summen fröhlich um die Honigwaben, in der Ferne Windmühlen, die in der Hitze um sich schlagen.
So same thing, I'm missing dynamic range on this, and I feel like there's a lot of limiting, clipping, whatever. There's a lot of stuff happening that's bringing up the bottom of the dynamic range there. So we don't have quiet stuff, we just kind of have less loud stuff. And then there's loud stuff. So I'd say this could be more dynamic. I don't think this needs to feel as squeezed going through here. And where we had the double vocal super wide left and right, it felt like there was a low mid thing happening. Also, I love the vibe of this song, and it says that the production and mix are value, and this is killer. So let's continue on. Here we go.
In der Ferne Windmühlen, die in der Hitze um sich schlagen. Sommer nur im Kopf, leider nicht im Ort. Wirklichkeit, in der du drin hockst, wie surrealer Filmstoff. Kleidung dick verpackt, Wetter mit Niederschlag. Frage mich, wann ich die schönste Zeit des Jahres wieder hab. Bin relaxed auf meiner Insel und die Ohren stehen still. Hab keinen Stress auf meiner Insel. Nichts zu tun, lass mich chillen. Manchmal wünsche ich mir ein Segelboot, das mich auf meine eigene Insel holt. Der Sonnenschein stand so gelb wie Gold, Himmel färbt sich abends leuchtend himbeerrot. Und überall nur Spaß und Happiness. Schau den Band beim Tanzen zu aus meinem Himmelbett. Stimmung wie nach verliebten Morningsex. Halte danach Ausschau, Leben harmoniert wie ein Singquartett. Ja, von Zeit zu Zeit.
Yeah, that build up, I want to say that it's in like that somewhere 200 to 350 range. There's just a ongoing kind of in the vocals there.
Diese Stadt zur Insel, weiß gepinselt, fliegen Wolken über meeresblauen Himmel, Grillen zippen im Rhythmus zur Melodie, ihre Solos auf dem Lied,
I also hear that in the bass too, so it could be that the bass combined with the vocals is causing that resonance and that mask. So maybe you want to try addressing it in the bass first and see if you hear it in the vocals after that.
Rose on repeat, Wassertropfen auf der Haut, deine Augen so vertraut, funkeln mit dem Wasser die Wette, Honey, ich bestaun.
And I feel like we could use a little bit of body in the lead vocal as well.
Schön, dass sie sein kann, haben Freifahrt auf unser Boot, schaukeln wir dahin, halt die Zeit an. Denke nicht an morgen und denke nicht an gestern. Lass Gedanken mit den Vögeln fliegen wie ein Jet, ja. Habe meine Insel hier gefunden mit dir, wo Minuten und Stunden ihre Bedeutung verlieren. Bin relaxed auf meiner Insel und die Ohren stehen still. Hab keinen Stress auf meiner Insel, nichts zu tun, lass mich chillen. Manchmal wünsche ich mir ein Segelboot, das mich auf meine eigene Insel holt. Der Sonnenschein stand so gelb wie Gold, Himmel färbt sich abends leuchtend himbeerrot. Und überall nur Spaß und Happiness. Schau den Band beim Tanzen zu aus meinem Himmelbett. Stimmung wie nach verliebten Morningsex. Halte danach Ausschau, Leben harmoniert wie ein Singquartett.
Awesome. I love this. Make sure that those percussion pieces at the end are matching up timing wise with your loop. It sounded like something might have been a little bit fuzzy there in the groove. The only other thing I really want to add to this, besides I love the vibe, again, I love the vibe of this, is that I'm hearing a lot of mouth noise and clicking and saliva from the vocalist. Again, that stuff all comes up with compression, so watch out. If you're compressing a lot, you're going to get more of that. I recommend Isotope's mouth declick default settings. I open it in Audio Suite and Pro Tools, and I hit process, and then it solves my issues for me 90% of the time. So check that out. You also might just be able to accomplish it with editing, but I heard some mouth clicks that were also happening at the same time as breaths. Sometimes it feels very unnatural to cut the breath out, but you could still remove the mouth click. I hope that's useful. I love that track. Costas, I'm glad that helped out the review of the last track there. You said your room needs to be set up better. Hopefully the guys that are mastering will fix the EQ problems you mentioned. Unfortunately, those are going to have to be dealt with on a track-by-track basis. The bloom in the low end was kind of happening overall, and if you pull some of that back, it's going to change how it's interacting with all the other instruments as well. But if the mastering engineer does it, he's pulling that frequency, the problem frequencies, out of everything in the mix. So you might end up with thin guitars because he's trying to deal with a problem that's happening in the bass guitar and the kick drum or something like that. So I'd recommend trying to work on it with headphones. It's going to sound crazy, but I think if you have some Apple AirPod 2s around, or the Pros, you can kind of tell what's going on in the bottom end on those. And that's something that people have around. So that's why I'm specifically mentioning that one. It's not that there's not other options, but the important thing is that it's a headphone that you know and that you listen to music on, and you know what music is supposed to sound like in them. If you can't change the speaker setup and get things a little bit better there. So hope that's useful. Guys, that's a wrap on 2023 Mix Tank. We did it. Next Monday, there won't be a great big plug-in show because it's Christmas. If you are celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you guys so much for submitting your songs, and just really, we started this in January, I believe, doing the consistent live streams for Mix Tank with me. And it's been an amazing year. I really appreciate you guys that show up every week. And if it's your first time, thank you for coming too. But yeah, this is amazing. I feel like we built a little community here. It's awesome to see everybody when we do it, usually bi-weekly and all of that. So thank you guys. We're going to continue it in 2024. Which, to help us out, if you smash the like and subscribe button, as the kids say, that definitely does help us to keep the content going, because it helps us out in the YouTube algorithms and all that stuff. So, and gives us some sort of metric to make sure that we're not doing something that nobody wants. So yeah, please let us know if you do want to see it keep going in 2024, and definitely helps out for the channel and all that stuff. Guys, thank you so much for a wonderful year. I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. And Star Wars on Puremix on December 29th. Alan Meyerson, let's go. It's going to be awesome. Definitely tune in for that video. If you missed it at the beginning, new video coming to Puremix. It's a mixed deconstruction. Alan Meyerson breaking down a piece of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That score had the biggest budget of any interactive media piece of all time. Not film budgets included in that, but interactive, meaning like video games or mixed media, that kind of thing. So the video is absolutely incredible. I just saw a version of it. It's great. December 29th. You can watch it too. So guys, thank you so much. Again, this is a blast, and happy holidays, happy new year. I think we have one more live stream planned. It won't be a Mix Tank. It's probably going to be a Mix Fix, but we'll probably see you one more time before the end of the year. And if not, we'll see you online and in the Mix Tank. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.